Oh, hello. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Rob Tart. This is my cow Fluffy, and you're watching Pie's Perspective. Alright, Fluffy, we gotta go. People are waiting on us. Fluffy? A woman named Irmgard Holm from Glendale, Arizona reached for one of her half-dozen eye drop medications. Now, the various eye drop medications were prescribed to her to help her recover from cataract surgery that she had over a year ago. Now, for reasons I will never understand, a bottle of super glue happened to be in the same area as her medication. And I think you can see where this one is going. So she put a couple of drops of super glue into her eye. Then the woman stated that the burning sensation indicated to her that something was seriously wrong. Then she further suspected she had trouble when her eye glued shut. She ended up in hospital where the staff there cut off the hardened glue that had covered her eye. Now, the story I read didn't say how they cut it off, but just using the word cut indicates that something sharp must have been used. Okay, who leaves a bottle of super glue in among other bottles of eye drops? Now, the bottles look almost identical. So that's either got to be a very cruel joke or somebody with the IQ of a sack of wet hammers. So I can only assume that the woman didn't read the label. I would think that if you're going to put several types of eye drops in your eyes, you would look at the labels just to ensure that you don't put in the same drops twice. You should really keep an eye on what you're doing. Actually, you should keep two eyes on what you're doing. Unless you glued one of your eyes shut, then you can only really keep one eye on what you're doing. Although two would be preferable. What was I talking about? Here are some more items that you don't want to keep near to each other in your household. A knife and a comb. If you're not paying attention, you could accidentally start combing your hair and end up with a mohawk. Preparation H and toothpaste. That's not going to help you much unless you have hemorrhoids on your teeth. And if you do have hemorrhoids on your teeth, brushing your teeth is the least of your problems. Windex and mouthwash. Rinsing with Windex instead of mouthwash won't do wonders for your breath, although if you do see a dirty window, you could walk up and breathe on it and just give it a quick wipe. Motor oil and maple syrup. The last thing I want to worry about when I'm eating waffles is viscosity breakdown. Your oral thermometer and your anal thermometer. I don't think I need to explain that one. Alright, who wants ice cream? We have the thumbs upsicle, the subscribe-sicle, the 3-flavor fave-sicle, and the comment on a stick. Please help yourself to anything you like. A 44-year-old woman named Selma Elmore flagged down police because she wanted to know if there were any warrants out for her arrest. Now, as it turned out, Selma did have an outstanding warrant. Upon hearing the news, Selma ran off. Now, the woman actually escaped after pushing the pursuing officer into a building. Now, that's the way I read the story. I can't picture an officer somehow getting pushed into a building, but that's what the article said. Responding officers later apprehended the woman. So when you come up with an idea that you think's a good idea, it's always wise to sit down and think of the possible consequences of executing that idea. If you think you have a warrant out for your arrest, flagging down a cop to ask can only have two possible outcomes that I can think of. One, there isn't a warrant and you're very relieved. Two, there is a warrant for your arrest and you suddenly realize that a cop was the wrong person to ask that to. Anybody with an IQ over 50 should realize that at that point, the cop is probably going to try to arrest you. What was this woman expecting to happen? After the cop says, yes, there's a warrant for your arrest, someone could look at the cop and say, okay, thank you for the information, I will avoid the cops at all costs, and then get up and calmly walk away. So for the dumb criminals out there, here are some other tips. If you're going to shoplift, don't do the following. Don't shoplift several items, leave the store, and then return to ask if anybody noticed you shoplifting. And if they did, then return the items and say, just kidding. And if they didn't, say, well, good, and then calmly walk out of the store. If you're going to carjack a car, don't roll up in the cops and ask if the carjacking has been reported, because if it has, you want to lay low until the authorities turn down the heat a little. If you're going to burglarize a home, don't go back to the front door and ring the doorbell, and when the homeowner answers, say, did you notice anything missing? And if he responds yes, then say, well, it wasn't me, and then walk away. Maybe this woman could ask the judge if she's going to be sentenced for the 3 robberies that occurred in her neighborhood over the past 6 months. And then the judge could say, are you asking me because you committed those robberies? And then she could say, well, am I a suspect for any of those robberies? Because if I'm not, then no, I didn't. But if I am, then no, I didn't. I just thought I would ask. Today's question of the day is, think of some other household items that you shouldn't keep close to each other. For example, your urine sample next to the apple juice. Anyway, that's all I have for this week. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, it's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just my perspective. Alright, Fluffy, can we go now? I'm getting kind of tired. Hya, mule, hya! Hello, Fluffy, hello? Covering her eye. Her eye. Okay. Who leaves a bottle of super glue? Am I drunk? So that's either somebody's if you're not paying attention, you could incidentally, your oral thermometer and your anal thermometer. I would think if you're going to put several drops of eye drops, flagging down a cop and asking them can really have only 2 cops, because you want to lay low until the heat is off if it has.